So, Cher, is it true you said that you don't need a man?
Damn right. Men are like dessert. They're not necessary. They're just nice to have around. My mother said to me, Sherilyn, you need to settle down with a rich man. And I said, but Mom, I am a rich man. And welcome back to Crips and Corks. I'm your host, DJ, here with my co-host,
Paul, as usual. And if you guys are watching our video, you already know we have some very, very special guests here today. We have the very spooky girls here from Paranormal in Pennsylvania. They cover the hauntings, history, and the spookiest things you can find here in our backyard in Pennsylvania. Please welcome these guys.
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, very excited to be here, you guys.
Yes,
Absolutely.
It's so good to have you both. And it's so fun to have other paranormal podcasters on. You guys are like our first paranormal podcasters we've had on yet.
our first actual collaboration.
Right. We usually just have drag queens and our friends. So it's nice to have people who are like experienced in the paranormal community. Now, when did you guys start your podcast, Paranormal in Pennsylvania?
We started it 2 years ago this October, actually.
Very nice, very nice. And also, I forgot to address, we only have 2/3 of Paranormal in Pennsylvania. We are missing David today, but you know, we got Erica and we got Sarah, so we're here and we're ready to party.
Absolutely. Do you want to, really quickly, for our listeners who are not yet familiar with you, do you want to give a brief rundown of your podcast?
Sure. So we, every Thursday, cover a new location in Pennsylvania, and we do the history and the hauntings. The three of us are quite a crew of best friends because I'm an enthusiast, and then David is a skeptic, and Erica is...
Just terrified. Just terrified most of the time.
That's the best mix.
Yeah.
And do you two have a favorite paranormal experience?
Ooh, okay. Mine has to be at the Grand Midway Hotel.
Oh.
We did a formal investigation there. Am I stealing yours?
No.
Okay.
No.
And we did a session, an EVP session, to try to catch anything. And it used to be a brothel. So we had the three of us and one of our male friends, and we were in one of the brothel rooms, and we thought that we heard some noises. And so what I said was like, would you like the men to leave? Would you feel more comfortable with just us women in this room? And so the guys left. We asked some more questions, and then I ended it by saying, would you like us to also leave? And we didn't hear anything real time. Again, maybe some like rustling. It was an old hotel. When we replayed it, there was a voice that said yes after, do you also want us to leave? But Erica had slept in that room later.
Yeah.
That night.
Oh
my God.
I slept there. And funny enough, like, I could not get to sleep. Like, I don't know if we've talked about that. We haven't done, like, a full debrief of this. So we haven't, like, talked to each other about, like, our experiences yet. But, yeah, it was crazy.
That's cool. Now, Erica, do you have any cool paranormal experiences? Like your craziest one?
So I don't really have a ton. I haven't
Okay.
experienced too much. After my dad passed, there was one thing where in our apartment, this light started flashing that had never flashed before. And even after we replaced it, it kept flashing. And so that was something where I was like, I wonder if that was my dad, you know? But I think that's like the craziest one I have, because other than this one at the Grand Midway, because in my real life, I feel like I haven't had too many experiences, and that was our first and only investigation. So we haven't like been to too many haunted places together yet. But I'm really excited to like have more.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Absolutely.
Same
And
here.
I think investigations are great because it's almost kind of contained.
Yes.
You're chasing it, and it's not, I'm in my kitchen and somebody just poked me and I'm home alone.
Yes.
Oh
Oh
my
my gosh. Your guys' Dear David episode was like giving me paranoia. Oh no. I was like, oh my god, in their own home. Like their
Yes.
cats. I have cats too, so oh my gosh.
Gosh. Now, I'm curious, was there like a turning point or something that happened that made you guys want to start the podcast? Like, what inspired you guys to start the podcast?
Do you want to tell the story?
Sure. So I was just sitting in my house randomly one day, and Sarah texted me and said, do you want to start a podcast? And I said, sure. And then we did. I don't think there was like anything that really like set it off. It was just like a cool thing that Sarah had come up with, and I just really liked the idea, and I really wanted to research into more like the history of it, the paranormal stuff that you don't really hear about in PA too often. So it was
Absolutely. And Pennsylvania is super haunted. Especially now with it being Halloween, every time you go to a bookstore, you see so many books, and all of them have different stories in them. But, like, you watch Travel Channel, and, like, Zach Baggins never comes here.
Yeah. Rude.
Honestly. Well, is it rude or is it a blessing?
Yeah,
Let's be real. Because Zach's kind of crazy. I mean, we'll talk about him a little bit later in the episode, but he be wildin' sometimes, for sure. Now, go ahead.
I was just going to say, really quick for our audio-only listeners, we are in costume, continue with our Halloween theme, and if we all want to go down the row and say what we are dressed as.
Sure.
Would you
I'm
like
a
to-
devil.
Very nice.
I'm a unicorn.
I'm a cheerleader.
I'm a purple witch.
Yes, and I honestly, for a Spirit Halloween costume, it's giving. Like,
Well, the hat and the cloak are Spirit Halloween, and then the shirt is Ann Taylor. I bought it for the wedding we went to last week, and I'm getting a little more wear out of it.
right. Period. And you guys look amazing too. You guys, I'm loving your costumes. Now, why don't we get into, we're switching it up a little bit this week, guys. This week, we have a margarita mocktail. So why don't we give it a taste, see what you guys think.
I'm so excited.
That's better than I expected it to be.
Oh, it's good.
I've never had a margarita mocktail before, and that's also the first time I ever salted a rim. Like, I've rimmed before, of course, but
Oh my god.
this is the first time I ever salted a rim. And it was a really interesting experience. DJ had to show me how to do it. Have you guys ever, like, salted a margarita rim before?
Yes. Have you?
I have not.
Really? Yeah. We love, not margarita rim, but we love lemon drop martinis in my house.
Yes.
So, like, the lemon sugar.
Okay.
That sounds good.
Paul did not know before I told him you can buy, like, a margarita rim kit.
Yes.
And so he was like, can we use table salt or I have sea salt? And he's all in drag, so I had my makeup half done and I'm sitting there over a plate cranking the sea salt. And then finally I went, that's enough. If we run out, I'll do it some more, but my arm's gonna fall out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So, as you guys might know, we do have a rating system for our drinks. We rate them out of grapes, 1 to 5 grapes, 5 being the best. So, why don't we start with you, Erica? How would you rate it, 1 to 5 grapes?
I think it's a 5.
Oh,
5 is the best, right? No,
Yeah,
Yes.
5 is the best.
Yes, I genuinely have not been a fan of margaritas, like, ever, but it's because of the alcohol, because I don't love the taste of alcohol. This is, like, fantastic. This is, like, the perfect margarita.
Wow.
You're good. Okay.
Wow, I was gonna say 4 because I feel like I can't say 5. It's like if I've only had 1, I can't say 5. But I mean, I love that for you. I'm gonna say 4. I'm gonna say 4 because I like it. But I mean, can you hit perfection the first time?
Right, exactly. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, I cheated this. It's like literally just margarita mix and sparkling water. Like, I definitely cheated because all the recipes, it's like, you know, put lime juice and orange juice and all sorts of things. And
Yeah.
girl, I don't cook. That's crazy. I can't be doing all that, okay?
Yeah.
So I cheated. I'm gonna give it 4 grapes though. I'm with you. It was pretty good for a mocktail. It was really good.
I'm also gonna give it 4 grapes because I actually missed the tequila.
Right. We do love our tequila, and you guys will see now why we chose a margarita. So, guys, why don't I tell you all a story? Period. So, every so often you hear a story, one that truly touches you, one that will stay with you forever, one that makes you feel things you've never felt before. One could even call this story the best story of all time. It makes your heart soar and reinstills your lust for life. A story that was meant to be told to the masses to inspire and change the world. Well, this isn't that story. Actually, this might be the opposite of that story, because today we're telling the dark, twisted tale of the Island of the Dolls, or the Isla de las Muñecas, and I do apologize for pronouncing that wrong. I'm doing my best, guys. Doing this podcast, never realized how many things you pronounce wrong, and I end up apologizing basically every episode because, like, we do international things, so, like, there's a lot of things that are hard to pronounce.
We've messed up places in Pennsylvania, and our friends that are locals will come back to us and be like, "Just so you know, it's not Kano, it's like Kanio. Oh, wow, for a whole episode, we just sound dumb.
Yeah.
I've been there.
I have no excuse. At least this is a different language.
Right. Now, does anyone know about the Island of the Dolls? Have you guys heard of it before? Like, you know anything?
I have seen it on an episode of Real Housewives of Miami.
Oh,
And that
that's
took
why.
me down a deep dive into it because, they were crazy. They were on like a booze cruise past it to visit the island.
I'm sorry. Wait, what?
Not the
Yes.
booze cruise.
Yes. Highly recommend watching that episode. But it took me down a deep dive because they were like, it's haunted. And a lot of them speak Spanish, so that was cool because they could interact with the locals.
Oh, nice.
But it took me down a deep dive of like, what is this Island of the Dolls? Like, random, because it's creepy even with just the dolls, but then the paranormal aspect is kind of like weird too.
Right. Have you ever heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I am not familiar with like the specifics of the island or like how this occurred or what happened. So I'm excited to hear about it.
Well, you'll learn more today, and if I don't cover anything that you can think of that's really cool, just let me know. Feel free to pop in with any facts or anything you know of.
Okay.
Period. So, the Island of the Dolls is basically a small island located in the channels of Xochimilco, which is like a small like city in the south of Mexico. Well, not south of Mexico, it's south of Mexico City, right? So they actually call Xochimilco the Venice of Mexico because there's channels that's basically flooded. You know how in Venice, like they take boats everywhere to get to the different buildings and everything? Xochimilco is very that. So it's basically islands and it's flooded. And so how that was like established, they actually call the island a chinampa. So basically what a chinampa is, it's basically a floating garden. So basically they weave reeds with stakes, creating underwater fences, and then they take soil and aquatic vegetation and build it up until it reaches the surface. So it's basically a man-made island.
Okay.
And it's actually, the Aztecs were the ones who actually originated this practice, right? So it's an ancient like form of agriculture because they would make these floating gardens and grow things on them and stuff. So right off the bat, like this is a very ancient land that has been inhabited for a very long time, which I actually learned researching this. Mexico City was actually the capital of the Aztec Empire. Tenochtitlan it was called. So, very ancient city. Now, further history. Another interesting thing about these canals was the Mexican Revolution of 1911. So, a lot of people died, and basically what they did is they would take the bodies and just toss them in the canals. So, there's the bodies still in there from the Mexican Revolution of 1911.
Wow, that is one way to do it.
I'm sorry for laughing. It's like, there's too many bodies. What do we do? There's a river.
Just toss it in. So right off the bat. Oh, and I also forgot to mention how like spiritual the people the Aztecs were, right? So they were making sacrifices to their gods and stuff. So lots of people dying early and stuff. So right off the bat, there's so much potential for just the land itself, not just the Island of the Dolls, to be haunted. It's a very spooky place. So, but let's get into why they call it the Island of the Dolls. Basically because there's a shit ton of dolls hanging all over the island.
Is that the scientific term?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like whole dolls either. Like it's just doll parts, heads, legs, and they're hanging from trees. And there's like a house there, and in the house there's a shrine to the dolls. Now, let's talk about who created the Island of the Dolls. And you guys can, I know I talk a lot, so you guys can feel free to interject at any time. And I'm such a fast talker, so feel free to stop me at any time.
It's giving Blair Witch.
It is.
All the dolls.
Do you guys remember that scene in Blair Witch where the dolls were hanging from the trees? But those were more like stick dolls. These are like actual like baby dolls, you know?
Which makes it worse, I think.
It is. And like, why? What compels you to just tie a baby doll arm to a tree?
Well, we're gonna get into that.
Don't they?
I did not realize that there were parts. I thought it was all whole dolls. So
No.
that's interesting that it's like
No.
parts.
Also, don't they like hammer them in with nails, like some of them?
I think so. I think you are right. So, let's get into the legend of what happened to this island. So, basically, this starts with a person called Don Julian Santana Barrera. And he lived a really average life until one day he just decided to leave his wife out of nowhere. He had a wife and kids, and he basically just said, I'm out of here, girl. Good luck. Bye. Peace. He decided to be a hermit and left. And where did he settle? None other but the Island of the Dolls. It wasn't the Island of the Dolls at that point. That's just the island he chose to, like, basically be a hermit on, you know?
If there's, like, all these islands around, it doesn't sound like a very good spot to be a hermit.
Well, it's, like, separated by water, though. Like, it's...
But I feel like people are going by in boats, and it's like, hey, Don Julio. Wait, is his name Don Julio, or am I thinking of tequila?
No,
oh my gosh,
Don
okay.
Julio.
I thought I had a Freudian slip, and I was like, oh no.
Actually, it's Don Julian.
Don Julian.
Close.
Don Julian.
I'm really thinking about missing that tequila,
Yeah.
apparently.
You're like, I wish.
So, basically, the rumors that spread was basically like, some people think that his wife cheated on him and that's why he left. Some people think he had a mental break. There's a lot of theories as to why he just up and left and decided to become a hermit, but no one truly knows to this day why he just decided to leave everything and become a hermit, which, honestly, it is kind of relatable, because some days I do want to just, like, get out and leave. I have a rough day at work, and it's like, okay, time to live in the woods, be homeless.
Right. That's what I'm thinking. You're south of Mexico City, nice climate. You're on the waterfront property.
Yes,
Probably
waterfront.
pretty cheap to obtain. There you go.
Yes, waterfront property. Okay, so one day when Don Julian was on the island, right, he came across a little girl who was drowning, and he tried to save the little girl, but he could not. And this filled him with a lot of guilt, which obviously I get it. The little girl's drowning. You can't save him even if you try. And so he's just riddled with guilt after this. So, but shortly after the girl drowned, one day, what he saw in the canal was a baby doll floating down the canal. And he fished it out of the canal, and it reminded him of the little girl. And this made him feel even more guilty. And shortly after this, he would actually start to get visited by the little girl who drowned. Like, at nighttime, her spirit would come and visit him and, like, honestly kind of torture him. And he would also get other spirits from the island, because apparently the little girl's not the only spirit on this island. The article said that there were multiple spirits visiting him at nighttime. So what did he do? He took that baby doll and he hung it in the tree to try and appease the spirits that were torturing him at night. And when he found that first baby doll didn't work, this became his obsession, because the spirits kept coming, girl.
Yeah, I have a comment. The textbook definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again with the same result.
Right. And what are the other spirits? Are they also little girl? Like, does everybody love a baby doll? Or is it
Oh no, it's Beelzebub. He must want a dolly.
I wonder too if the girl drowning reminded him of his kids that he left behind, and that was like also part of the guilt.
That makes sense. I never even thought of that.
I don't know if he had like a daughter, but I can imagine.
I'd have to look into that. I don't know if he had a daughter or not either, but that's a really good point.
Yeah, it was like, maybe that's what made it worse, and maybe that's why he like went insane with it, because it.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
I definitely think insanity had something to do with this.
it was pretty insane, because this would become like all he would do. And he would even go into the local city and he would trade things to get more dolls. He would dig the dolls out of the trash, like just anything he could to get more dolls to hang on this island. People said it was like as if like some unseen force was like making him do this and like making him obsessed with this.
what is his source of income?
I have no clue.
That's what I was gonna say.
NA?
Right.
Not applicable.
Yearly income 0 pesos?
Yeah, negative 25 baby dolls.
When I heard
Negative
dumpster
25 baby dolls. Oh my god.
dumpster diving for the dolls, like,
Right.
I gotta appease the
Yes.
Maybe he was a farmer, like, because these are floating gardens, so maybe he like grew things and sold them and traded them for dolls and things.
Right.
Which it is still so freaking weird. Like, this grown man just comes into town. There's Don Julian looking for the dolls again.
I will give you 2 baskets of peppers for 1 baby doll.
Right, that I'm just gonna mutilate on my island.
Right. Oh my gosh. So this would become his obsession for the next 50 years, right?
50? Wait, 50?
Yep, 50 years.
Wait, how old was he when this happened? Like, did he...
That's a good question, guys. That is
Like-
something I should have looked up.
Did he, like, get married? Like, did he get married at 15, have the kids, and be,
Yeah.
at 20 be like, I'm out.
Bye.
Yeah, you know, I will put that in the comments, that answer in the comments, and we will find that answer for you guys later.
But can you imagine being his wife? Like, I left you to pursue my one true love of hanging baby dolls in trees.
That
How do you swallow that?
Yeah.
that is rough, but also then she could also use the thing like, oh, he went insane. That's why you left. Probably make her
That's true.
feel a little bit better about him leaving.
That's true.
Because at least he's not hanging dolls all over her house, you know.
Maybe that's why he left. He tried that there.
Oh,
Yeah.
he's tried to hang up the dolls there, and she kicked him out. Well, unfortunately, in 2001, Julian was found drowned in the same spot that the girl in the canal actually drowned.
Oh.
Yeah.
Not enough baby dolls.
Exactly. He didn't put in enough work.
All she wanted was a bouncy ball.
Right? Oh my god, stop. It's the wrong toy.
Or
Like,
blobs.
I hate
Yeah.
dolls. Yeah.
Could you imagine? Oh my gosh. And then he meets her in the afterlife and he's just like so sick. He spent all that time collecting dolls. Now, actually, it was his nephew who found him drowned. And when his nephew found him, he said there was actually a big black fish like swimming around him that when he got there, it kind of like disappeared. And he said that was the spirit of like the canals, one of the spirits dragging Don Julian down to be with the rest of the spirits of the canal. Now,
That mean he's accepted? Like, is this a good or bad thing?
I don't think it's a good thing because I wouldn't want to be with the canal spirits for eternity.
I don't think he passed the vibe check.
Right?
Yeah.
The great catfish of the river said, nah, fam.
Now, it's really interesting though. The canals, like, there's a lot of like legends about mermaids in the canals and really big serpents and things. So there's a lot of mythology around these canals. So it's really interesting. He saw that big black fish. And also I thought it was really interesting that, because I've watched like a few documentaries on this and how the people were talking about mermaids in the canals. And you don't really like picture mermaids in a canal, you know? But it's a big part of their mythology, and that surprised me. Usually you think of mermaids like just in the ocean.
Yeah.
Because mer means ocean, can you be a mermaid if you live in a river?
I don't know.
Didn't we discuss this on the mermaid episode?
Maybe. Oh, we did talk about mermaids and rivers on the episode, but I don't know, maybe there should be a different term for mermaids and rivers?
Yeah, what would
Yeah.
they be? Like, I'm trying to think
Rio
of the word
maids?
for river.
Rio maids?
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of the Latin for river, but in Spanish it's Rio.
Rio maids, period. We'll go with it. We're getting into Rio maids.
Yeah, new term.
Period.
Here.
Coined it, copyrighted. Period. So, some of the things that are said to happen on this island, now that it's like he's dead and gone and stuff, people say the dolls move on their own. People say they hear voices that aren't there. Like, what do you call that? I don't know why.
Disembodied voice.
Disembodied. Yeah. I don't know why I'm blanking on words today. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. But yeah, and sometimes people even see the apparition of Don Julian on the island around the dolls. So there's a lot of spooky things going on this island to this day, right? Now, also, just real quick side note about the mythology and how spiritual of a place this is. This is also where La Lorena is. If you guys are familiar with that story, there's actually, wait,
No, I'm going to let you finish.
you can go ahead.
I'm really excited you said that because I was going to say, what if he left his wife and kids because he was the jerk husband in La Llorona who left his first wife and kids and she drowned them.
Oh.
And so when that happened, he left his second wife and kids to become a hermit.
Mm-hmm.
And La Llorona, that's what got him.
Period.
Deserved.
Yes. And the dolls were like, I'm going to try and like get you distracted by the mutilated dolls so you can't get me.
Right. Now, one interesting thing is like a couple islands away from where the Island of the Dolls is, they actually do a reenactment of La Llorona. It's like a theater, and they do a reenactment of the story of La Llorona. So the people there are very much into like the spirituality and the paranormal and the haunted stuff, which I think is really cool. I would love to live in a place like that. Like, I've always wanted to live in Salem, Massachusetts. Like,
Yeah, a lot of times, we say that a lot, like, just lean into it. If it's haunted, just accept it. But a lot of places we go, they're like, we're not legally allowed to talk to you about the haunting.
that's so annoying. Legally? Why legally? Like, why do you think?
A lot of time it's staff who, in their contract, it says you're not allowed to talk about any paranormal claims.
Oh, that's wild. You'd think they would want to talk about it more because it would bring in people and things.
Yeah, I thought so, but apparently at like Eastern State Penitentiary in Philly, the staff aren't allowed to talk to you about any paranormal claims.
Don't they do like a haunted house in there?
Sure do. Sure do.
That's crazy. Now, have you guys been to the Eastern State Penitentiary?
I have.
I have not.
What was that like? Did you experience anything?
No, but I wanted to verify it with the staff. Like, am I not experiencing anything because it's daytime, because I'm not doing this right?
Oh,
but
I
the
got
staff was
you.
like, we can't talk to you about it. So to live somewhere like this, I think would be so cool, especially if they're open to discussing it with tourists.
Exactly.
Yes. And like we were just in Point Pleasant a couple of weeks ago, and like they leaned so heavily into Mothman, and it's funny because he like destroyed the town, and then like he came back and he saved it. Same thing with Salem. The witch trials nearly destroyed the town, and it came back around being the savior. And I can see like if you're a luxury resort and it's like our clientele don't go for that, like we don't want you walking around with your EMFs and your REM pods disturbing our very wealthy country club-esque guests. But like a lot of these places, it's like people are coming to see ghosts.
Yeah.
Very that. And you know what? They lean so much into the ghosts and stuff here that they do like tours of the island, of course. And actually, it's kind of funny. There's like other islands around that started hanging up dolls just so they could trick people into thinking it was the Island of the Dolls to make money.
That is bad karma. I would not mess with that.
I thought that was crazy.
I thought you were going to say they were doing to try and ward the little girl's spirit from coming onto their island.
No, they're trying to make a quick buck, girl. They said, let me hang these dolls in this tree real quick, make a couple dollars.
That little girl, she's going to like climb out of her watery grave and get confused.
Honestly.
And somebody's going to get murdered in their bed like Don Julian.
Yes.
Right. And so, we talked about him a little bit earlier in the episode. Our homeboy Zach actually did visit the island.
Is he our homeboy though?
He's something. He's here. He's part of the paranormal community for sure.
Better or worse?
Something interesting about Zach though is he's actually afraid of dolls apparently.
Okay, stop. You are not afraid of dolls. And you're a paranormal investigator. I mean, I guess.
Right.
I mean, I am.
Of
but
dolls.
they creep me out. I wouldn't say like I have a strict phobia.
Yeah.
But also, I'm a skinny mini little twink, and Zach Baggins is this. Come on, demon, scratch me.
Right.
Also, dolls are objectively creepy.
Yes.
They are. And it is funny too, because like when we did Clown Motel, we also discussed Zach's investigation of the motel, and he's actually afraid of clowns too. So it's really interesting. He's afraid of clowns and dolls. I think that's interesting. Like, not to shame anyone's fears or whatever, because like I'm definitely afraid of Wendy's, but what can you do?
That is a bold-faced lie, and I expect you to take it back on camera. Take it back.
Listen, it was just for the joke.
I know.
Lord knows I stay in that drive-thru. One thing about me is I love fast food. I don't know about you guys,
Yes.
but oh my gosh. I love McDonald's. I love fast food. And did you guys see they have the Wednesday Addams meal at Burger King right now? That Black Whopper.
Really? I
Oh
have
my gosh.
not.
Yeah, and they have like
Yeah.
churro fries, and they have a Morticia shake.
Ooh.
It looks
And,
so good.
The onion rings. Things rings.
Yes.
That's cool. I'll have to check
should,
it out.
We should get it when we record next.
Yes.
Whenever we record, we do fast food family dinner, typically.
Oh.
I love that. We do the same thing too.
But we call it being bad.
Yeah, are we gonna be bad? And like, it's never really a question of if. It's like it's going to happen. We're getting fit.
We're on a watch list somewhere because we just text each other like after recording, "Are we being bad tonight?" and there's no other context. It's just, "Are we being bad?" So we're definitely on a watch list somewhere.
That's funny.
Right. Now, Zach actually was kind of bad on this island because he actually brought his own haunted doll onto the island. I guess he tried to like start a little haunted doll fight club because he set it next to the other haunted dolls and he set up a camera and he wanted to see what would happen because apparently the doll he brought was a very aggressive doll and he wanted to see what it would do to the other dolls.
First of
That's
all,
awful.
to take advantage of the meme, in the club we all fam.
And the club wheel.
So I feel like him bringing this aggressive haunted doll onto an island full of haunted dolls is just going to cause the haunted dolls to gang up on him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, messing with the spirits like that. I don't
Also,
know, girl.
I have major problems with his methodology behind investigation because my belief is that just because they're dead doesn't mean they're not a person.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's just very much of, I am going to antagonize you.
Yeah, it's very much if like a frat boy would go investigating, like ghost investigating. It's very that.
Right, but yet he's this huge name.
Right.
It's
I mean, I'd be lying if I said like I didn't watch it religiously when I was like in high school.
Yeah.
Right, but who didn't?
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's just because he was the first person to like really investigate on TV. Because before that it was all like my haunting, my ghost story, whereas all reenactments and docudramas. But unfortunately, and like listening to a lot of paranormal podcasts, but for my own enjoyment and for this own podcast, a lot of other investigators are like, yeah, he's not part of the club.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's not. No. And also so when he put the two dolls together, like nothing really happened. Like yeah, he had one of the thermal cameras set up on the dolls, and at the end there, one of the doll he bought for some reason got very hot, which I can't explain. So that was like the only really interesting thing that happened.
They were
with the
probably
dolls.
pissed.
Yeah.
You
I
took
don't
me out
doubt
of
it,
my
girl.
nice, warm, cozy home to bring me to this island and left me sitting out overnight with this Yahoo. How do they know that, like, I don't know how the afterlife works. Like, if we suddenly just have knowledge of all languages, or if it's just like, I speak English and this bitch speaks Spanish. What are we supposed to talk about?
Right.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. The dolls, they're like, well, this sucks. Like, I'm trapped on this island. I can't talk to anyone. Everyone thinks I'm the aggressor. Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, they're gonna fight, and it's like, habla inglés, like,
Oh my god.
tequila, you want to drink?
Oh my gosh. No, and it is interesting because Zach also did set the dolls together like in front of a shrine because in that building, Don Julian did set up a shrine to his like 4 favorite dolls. So he did put it like right where the shrine was.
He's playing favorites now?
Don Julian was.
Yeah, he's
yes.
playing favorites?
Yeah, and of course among his favorite was the one he found in the canal, the very first doll. And 4 other dolls that I think one was named Argentina.
Yeah, what's the criteria?
Yeah.
I don't know, I guess he just liked this one seems extra haunted. This one reminds me of my mom. This one reminds me.
This one reminds me of the wife I left, because the first wife I left drowned my kids.
Right.
Right.
This one reminds me of that first wife who drowned my kids after I left her.
Ooh. Oh no. No, Verona. But one interesting thing that did happen on his investigation is they went up on the island and it was supposedly just them. And they walked by an area, and when they went back, there was just like this random campfire that started out of nowhere.
Huh.
Which was weird. They claimed like there was no one else on the island and things, which it would be really cool if like that was actually the ghost that
Right.
started that fire,
Yeah.
but like they just randomly like walk by and come back and there's just this random campfire started. Like I don't know. It seems a little spooky. That's something I'd have to experience firsthand.
Right,
Yes.
is it contained? Like, does it look like a human made the campfire?
Yeah, it was in a fire pit. They had a fire pit there.
So then it seems like someone might just be messing with them,
Yeah.
or didn't even realize that they were also like that they were also on the island, and they just were trying to have a good time and then walked away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Just camping on the island of the dolls.
Which I
Right.
don't know why anyone would do.
No. Before we found out it was contained, I was gonna say like that a doll he called aggressive was like, you took me out of the salt circle. You're gonna burn, bitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not that.
I mean, like I've heard about his haunted museum, and I'm sure if he takes any of this stuff out of there, he better watch his back because you can't like he antagonizes them and then contains them. Like you take them out of that like protected box and like
Yes.
Yeah.
Period.
They're gonna come for you.
For sure.
Especially, I mean, like in his after. I don't know what's gonna happen to him after he passes. I know that's a little morbid, but like probably has way more. They'll have more access to him. So that's
Some
a
things
little,
are waiting.
Yeah.
That's a
we
great
were just talking. We recorded an episode last night, and it was so funny because one of the things I said was like, I really wonder, like, when you die, like, who's the first person you meet, and what if it's somebody who pissed you, like, you really pissed off, like, you pissed your wife off, and she's just like, really, Zach? You forgot to take out the garbage for 30 years?
Oh my gosh. What if they did bring the wife on the investigation? Like the wife you left to investigate? Because, like, Zach did bring one of Julian's old friends, like, to help him in the investigation, which they did get an EVP from. Supposedly it was Don Julian's voice, so they did get an EVP. So I guess, like, having the friend did help, but it would be so interesting to have the wife, bring the wife and kids
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
I need Maury crossed with Island of the Dolls investigation.
Very that.
Yeah,
Very
if
that.
you're gonna provoke them, why not make it interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I was scrolling through some different, like, Yelp reviews and different reviews of people who visited
the
the
Yelp
island.
reviews.
And there are a lot of very run-of-the-mill things, like, oh, I saw the doll move on my own. But there was one story that really stuck out to me. It was about this girl named Veronica and her boyfriend. They supposedly hired, like, a tour guide to get them, like, to the Island of the Dolls there, like, after dark. And supposedly, like, that's not something you're really supposed to do. So it's, like, kind of an under-the-table dealing, right? So it's, like, nighttime. They're going to the Island of the Dolls. It's just her and her boyfriend. And they get to the Island of the Dolls, and everything's normal at first, you know? They're just walking around, playing around. It's spooky, whatever. But then, like, the dolls start moving on their own, right? And then they notice the dolls start, like, inching in on them. And then they start to, like, freak out, right? And then they try and find the tour guide, which is really interesting because, like, they can't find the tour guide. They're like, where did this guy go? We're on this island. Like, at night, these creepy possessed dolls are inching toward us. They're moving on their own. We're stuck here. Eventually, they do find the boat, and the tour guide does eventually come, and the tour guide's, like, freaked the fuck out also. He's like, the dolls were moving towards him as well. He experienced the same thing, and they got the frick out of there. Now, that was the most interesting story I found on those websites. The rest of them are just, like, run-of-the-mill, and also warning them not to go to the fake Island of the Dolls.
Right.
You
Yeah.
gotta make sure you do that official tour. You gotta do your research before you go.
But what was the tour guide doing? Like, why would you leave these people alone on this island?
Honestly, who knows?
Unless the spirits purposely separated them.
Or maybe, like, they wandered off on themselves to have, like, some alone time because it's, like, a cover or whatever. They wanted some time alone on the
What,
island. or
lovers
something.
laying on the island of the dolls?
Oh, what if we kissed at the doll shrine?
Happy Valentine's Day!
I was gonna propose at the doll shrine.
You know, maybe that's what the little girl wanted. She didn't want a little doll. She wanted a big human-sized doll, and that's what she's just waiting for.
There we go.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
waiting for a big victim. Oh my gosh. Now, I'm gonna steal a note from your book. Would you guys visit the Island of the Dolls?
I don't know. I think I would if we were like, we're gonna go and we're gonna do an investigation and we'll follow the rules of, like, whatever, because I guess you can't go after dark. So yeah, I would do that. But I think I would be terrified the whole
Yes.
time. I don't think that I could, like, even take a break. Like, I know that sounds then, like, the investigation for me at least wouldn't be, like, valid because I'm just, like, scared the whole time. But I think that's what it would be. I think I would just be out of my mind terrified.
I have a lot of stipulations to visit it. I want my own private boat with a captain that does not leave that boat. So if I need to run down, yes, I'm going to bring my brother because he speaks Spanish. So that way I have someone to translate. And also Erica, because if something happens, she's going to be the one that's more scared. And I feel like spirits preferentially target the scaredy person. So
I accept this.
Yeah. I mean, you do say that every time we go to a haunted location. You're like, yeah, I'd probably be the target.
Yeah.
Watch out, DJ's the scared one out of us.
It did happen to me at Lock House. So we went in the basement 3 different times. And the first time we started doing a REM pod session. And Paul and our friend Lennon were like right by, like not right on top of it because that interferes with it, but they were like trying to get close-ups. And then me and Cameron were like standing back. He had a flashlight, I had the camera going. And there's a door to the outside. And we both kind of heard like a couple footsteps. And then we heard somebody charge the door. And we're in the middle of a state forest or a state park. Like no one's around. And we were like, okay. I was like, break time out, time to go upstairs.
Thank you.
Gosh, you guys should visit the Luck House. It was crazy. We weren't expecting to get any like evidence at all there, and we got so much stuff. You guys have to visit the Luck House, and it's just like an Airbnb anyone can rent.
That is so crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like, just rent this haunted place.
Right.
It's like along the canal trail, so it's mostly for people who are biking or hiking.
Yeah.
we just kind of co-opted it for our own uses.
Right. A lot of people don't even know it's haunted. It's more like within the paranormal community, people know. But yes, I would visit the Valley of... I keep saying Valley of the Dolls. Isn't that a movie?
Yes, it is.
Book?
It's a
Book and movie.
Yeah.
With Sharon Tate, so we've got a murder
Yes.
in there.
Oh my gosh. No, I'd visit the Island of the Dolls, see what's going on, see what's going down, maybe spend the night if it's legal.
Would you sleep though? Would you stay the night or would you sleep?
I'd want to stay up the whole night so I could like investigate and see what's going on. Like, yeah, I think I could sleep there. I don't think I could sleep there by myself, so I'd like have to have like other people there with me. But I will say one thing about the island too is it's like it makes it more creepy that it's surrounded by water, and it makes it so much harder to escape. I think that really adds to the creep scale. So I'll definitely have to keep that in mind. Like keep a boat like right there with an eye shot. Make sure the boat's there tied. No one's gonna steal it and things.
Yeah.
Now I do have a follow-up question for everyone. Smash or pass, Don Julian?
Oh, I mean, pass for me. That does not sound like a nice guy.
Yeah. Sometimes crazy could be like appealing, but this is too far. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass too.
If you said Don Julio, I would have said smash, but this guy's just a little too crazy. It's a pass.
Yeah. Honestly, it kind of does sound a little bit like he has like OCD or he has manic episodes.
Yeah.
Oh.
It does, honestly, and it is sad. Like, he might have a mental illness. So like it might not be ghosts, which I know we're a paranormal podcast, so we shouldn't say things like that. But I do feel like he does show signs of maybe having a mental illness, and maybe that's what, because like people with OCD, a common thing is you feel like you have to do something or something bad is going to happen. Like you have to like close the door 3 times when you leave, things like that. So maybe that collecting the dolls was just part of his OCD, and then it just turned into this big like legend that the local folks would tell about, like, oh, because also I've read on certain sites that there really isn't a record of a little girl that actually drowned there.
I was gonna say, if it's like OCD combined with, was he alone when he was on that island?
Yes.
So then if it was long enough, then he could have started like hallucinating. If he like isolated for long enough, maybe that was like one of the issues too.
Right.
Because yeah, if there's no record, that's really interesting.
See, with the no record, I immediately think, because it's a child ghost, it's actually a demon. She never existed. It was just like, it was La Llorona trying to claim another victim, and like...
It could be something like that. And like I said before, like it's like a very spiritually charged land in general. So like it could be any number of spirits also.
Yeah.
Not just like a little girl. It could be any number of spirits.
Right.
And that explains why the dolls weren't pacifying it if it's not a little girl or a little kid.
Exactly.
To go with the La Llorona theory again, because I'm invested in this, like La Llorona is involved. Even if like they weren't like together, maybe like he saw her and he started like displaying these dolls to try and distract her so she would stop drowning real children. And she figured it out, and that's why he just kept collecting them, like, okay, maybe if I get enough, she'll stop.
I was going the other way, and in my mind, he's helping her.
Oh.
He's luring alive children with the dolls to help her. They're on the same team.
That would be a good horror movie. That would be spooky. You better copyright that.
Is there an Island of the Dolls movie?
I don't think so.
Because I know there's a La Llorona movie, and it's like, I need like one of those cheesy 1950s Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, but La Llorona meets the Island of the Dolls.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now that you say that, there probably is like some cheap knockoff movie. It's like straight to Amazon Prime, like
Sci-Fi Channel original. I'm gonna look it
not
up.
the Sci-Fi Channel original. While he's looking that up, so any final thoughts about the Island of the Dolls? What do you guys think?
I think while we were talking, I realized that it actually does make sense for dolls to kind of have spirits inside of them, I think. And I've never really thought about this before, but it's like dolls are probably the closest object to human beings. And so people are probably, spirits are probably like, okay, well, if I, enter into this doll, then I'll feel more like I'm at home. And I think that was a realization I had halfway through where I was like, that's interesting. That is probably why we kind of like get a weird vibe around dolls, and B, why they might actually have spirits inside of them.
Interesting. I had not considered that.
It makes sense though, because isn't it like an Amish belief that their like dolls aren't allowed to have faces or they'll be possessed? So that does span across different cultures too. That's a really interesting thought. I like that.
I did not know that.
And did you guys know you can adopt your own haunted doll on Etsy? There are people who will like get dolls and they will like invite nice spirits, like only nice spirits, into them. And then they will like do whole adoption processes on Etsy where it's like this is Paul, and Paul likes fast food and watching YouTube. Paul needs a family who will give him lots of attention, kind of like adopting a pet.
Stop.
Yes.
I don't know if I trust that.
I think it's like the Dybbuk box industry, like Big Dybbuk box, where it's like you get it and it's just a box and there's nothing in it.
Right.
Yeah.
Other than like junk that you found in your grandmother's like Royal Danish butter biscuit tin.
Yes.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
No.
Which is funny because that's what we talked about on our Dybbuk box episode.
Right, we did talk about
the original
that.
Dybbuk box. But like, yeah, you can adopt your own haunted doll.
Would you adopt a haunted doll?
No.
Yeah, I would not.
No.
I've thought about adopting one for my father just for funsies.
You like get it for someone and you don't tell them it's haunted.
The priceless
Merry
artifact.
Christmas.
Right.
But my father's like very macho and into cars, and like I'd like get him this doll and it would sit on a shelf for like 3 months, and then I'd be like, so where's that doll I got you? And then I throw it in the trash.
Oh, we just threw away the spirit. That'd be rough. That'd be rough.
No, Mildred!
No, but the Island of the Dolls, I like this story. I thought it was really interesting. It's like a fun little tale, a local legend. I like it. I would definitely go and visit. What do you think?
Only during the daytime.
Only during the daytime.
Only during the daytime. Because it's bad enough if a spirit sneaks up at me at night. If a doll sneaks up on me at night, like, I don't watch scary movies because I watched Chucky when I was 2.
Mm-hmm.
Not my choice, obviously. Like, my dad put it on and didn't put me to bed.
Oh,
So,
spooky.
that's where the, like, dolls... Me and dolls, no bueno.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't think we got to hear your final thoughts. What are your final thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I would go. Again, stipulations. I just think it's really interesting. The cultural pieces of it and the fact that it is such a spiritual land always, to me, gives credence to something being paranormally active. So even if he did have his own mental things going on, that doesn't mean that it couldn't also be haunted.
Oh, a combination of the two.
Yes.
That's very likely, very likely. Well,
Yeah.
I think that is the story of the Island of the Dolls. I want to thank you both so much for coming and being on the pod. It's always so fun. We had so much fun being on you guys' podcast. Make sure you go check out that episode and all of Paranormal in Pennsylvania's episodes. You're on season 4 now.
Yes, wrapping season 4 this week.
Oh, congratulations.
So you guys have plenty to binge, so go check out, start from the beginning, and do a good old binge of all of their
Or maybe
episodes.
start at season 2.
Season of a little rough.
Maybe start it. Oh, trust me, we get it. We get
When
it.
we were on your podcast, and it's like, where should they start? It's like, Dyatlov Pass, like a solid 6 months in.
Right. We all have that growing period.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for being on. Come on anytime. We love having fellow paranormal podcasters and enthusiasts on the pod and just like interacting with people who get it and are like spooky also.
Yes.
Yeah.
And would you like to shout out your socials for the listeners?
Oh yeah, you can find us on TikTok. You can find us on TikTok. No, you can find us on TikTok at Paranormal in Pennsylvania. We try to post there daily, and on Instagram at Paranormal in Pennsylvania. I think we have a Facebook. Don't quote me on that. I think Instagram automatically like talks to Facebook. And then YouTube if you want to see our beautiful faces again, and their beautiful faces again. You can find them on the YouTube episode.
Period.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
guys so much.
You guys are welcome on anytime.
Yeah, come on anytime, and we'll have to do an investigation soon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
as
Get
soon
out in the
as-
field.
I was gonna say, do you want to shout out your social media?
Sure, you can follow me at my personal Instagram and TikTok at Paulember, Paulember. And as usual, guys, it's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
And if you'd like to follow me, please do so on TikTok and on Instagram at TheRealDeechPowers. And if you'd like to write me a love letter, you cannot address it to the Island of the Dolls. And you know where to follow us on all of our social media. Just check out the bio below. And guys, remember, there's a lot going on in the world. Please do what you can to help. Register to vote or check your voter status in your polling place at www.vote.org. And if you'd like to help children in Gaza as they go through the war there, you can go to www.unicef.org. And that's all she wrote, I think.
All right, would you guys like to cheers?
So, remember to keep your crypts tight.
And your corks loose.
Bye.
Cheers. Oh my gosh.
When are they gonna make Mamma Mia 3?
Chaz needs an upgrade.